Welcome to the fifth episode of the Maddy Mania podcast. Appreciate you guys chilling last week. I was so sick from South by Southwest and had a pretty gnarly cold that just wouldn't go away. So thank you for bearing with me on that. But we talked emerging artists last episode, and this episode is going to get into independent artists. What does that mean? What all are you doing as an independent artist? Are you touching every aspect of your music? Are you even producing? Are you writing? Are you shooting music videos? What are you doing to fuel that music side of your life? And we have a very special guest. We have a lot in common. We're both big pro wrestling fans, have been kind of online friends for a couple months now, and wanted to do this episode together. So super excited for you guys to listen to the chat I have with Nick. Nick Rod is a self-produced R&B and hip-hop artist from Miami, Florida. His music carries a quiet self-assurance, introspective and vulnerable, melodic and unpredictable. It's the kind of honesty that doesn't announce itself, it just settles in. Honestly, that is so true for Nick's music. I'm a really big fan of his song Missing. You guys should definitely check that one out if you haven't yet. His sound kind of draws comparisons to Russ, Mac Miller, Daniel Caesar, while staying distinctively his own. And he'll be graduating from Berklee College of Music in May of this year. So super excited for him to go out there full time for his music career while he's not also doing school. His music videos are fire. Songs are great, and just like I described it, very introspective and really vulnerable lyrics. And I really think that music journalist Magnolia Orley puts it best. He bridges the gap between the independent cadence of his generation and the crafting of a future classic. So he is what we need right now. Independent artists that aren't afraid to develop their own sound and put themselves out there, meet new people. He did a show overseas in Spain where he met new fans, talked about that a little bit in the interview section of this episode, and we kind of agreed with the point that I was making on last episode that you need to find your core fan base because you won't go anywhere without fans, and it's better to have a couple core fans that'll ride or die for you than maybe 100 just casual listeners that won't be tuning in for everything you do. So super excited to chat with Nick this time around, and hopefully we'll get to do more chats with him or other artists in the future. And be sure to listen to the section about wrestling as well, because we talked a little bit about that, still kept it in the music realm and how he would kind of walk out if he was a wrestler, like what theme music and what the vibes would be. But just a really great chat, and hopefully you guys like it. Welcome to the Maddy Mania podcast, Nick. Super excited to have you and chat about your artist journey. Kind of to kick things off, you're somebody who writes, produces, and performs your own music. Tell me a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, I think so. I've been making music kind of like my entire life. I think that's been the one constant in my whole life that's like never changed. Like the music has been there.
Mhm.
I grew up like my parents playing a lot of Beatles and Michael Jackson. So like great stuff to get hooked on music to be like, okay, this stuff is dope. Like I really enjoy and this fills me up in a way that, nothing else has in my life. So shout out to them for putting me on to like such great artists so young 'cause it showed me, like, what was possible.
Yeah.
Uh, so kept listening to music, kept making music, and then in high school, my brother introduced me to Mac Miller and some other rap
Mm.
artists. So I started to get into the rap lane and I started rapping. When I was 15 or 16, I'd say, I had to write a song for a class, and I never, I was always doing music, but never, like, creating my own, right? So I had to write a song and I did, and I was like, that was one very therapeutic in a way that I'd never had anything else, like no other outlet like that. And I was kind of like, this is like kind of good. Like, what if I kept doing this? So kept making music, and it's also a testament to how bad of a student I always was because I always just never wanted to be in class. I just always wanted to go and make music. And that's, gratefully that I go to music school. So that's like the only way I was able to go to college is like if I go to college, alright, but I'm not gonna be taking any math classes or science classes. So that was never in the cards for me, so I got kinda lucky with where I'm at now. And then when I got to college, I was surrounded by so many talented, like-minded musicians that that was all they wanted to do, and it
Right.
also put things into perspective because when I first got here, I was like, "Wow, these people are really good, and I'm not shit compared to anyone here." So, kinda lit a fire under my ass to where I was like, "Alright, you need to work hard if this is something that you wanna do, and
Yeah.
get better and lock in on your craft." So, that is what I did, and it's been quite the journey. Probably, like, 2 years ago was when I started producing, like,
Mhm.
all my stuff, because I was always just buying beats from people, and
Okay.
then it got to a point where I was working with a producer for a while, and we had made a couple songs, and then it was just not in my cards or financially, like, the right decision to be paying for all the music I wanted to do, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Let me sit down and try and see if I can do this myself," and at first, it was a struggle, but I think, I've gotten the hang of it to where I, like, produce, I'd say 90% of all my stuff and feel confident about my abilities now.
So cool. Did, like, you learn it just kind of self-taught, or did you have, like, any classes that kinda helped?
Yeah, I think at Berkeley, I definitely took some classes that showed me some techniques and things that I hadn't understood or, like, done before, but I would say for the most part, I'm self-taught. I think there's no better way to learn something than just do it.
Yeah.
So, just doing it over and over and over again by myself and getting feedback from friends or family, and then just going back and just trying to be better, I think has been the best way to learn for me personally.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Totally feel you. Speaking of Berkeley, you're graduating in May. How else did that environment kinda shape and sharpen your artistry versus what was taught yourself?
Yeah, I think technically and creatively being at home and being in my studio by myself and being able to just not have a time limit on things, not have, like, people breathing down my neck, and I'm just, like, able to completely dive in. I think that has been most beneficial for me technically, but Berkeley has been a very great place for me to just connect with people that are like-minded and just
Mhm.
be in a space where people are just so locked in and it puts things into perspective. So I think the perspective and the connections that Berkeley has given me has been, like, the most beneficial part about it for sure.
Yeah, that's the same way I felt with coming to USC for public relations.
Right.
It's the best network of people you could meet. How would you kinda describe Nick Rod as an artist to someone hearing you for the first time, and which song would you first recommend them?
So first song I would say "Missing" because that's, like, my
Ah,
baby.
that's my favorite.
I love "Missing," and that was just, like, the first song that kinda made people be like, "Okay, this kid might have something," I feel like,
Yeah.
and it was also the song I spent the most time on a rollout for a single for. I flew across the country to shoot the music video with my guy Brandon and Tommy,
Mhm.
so that was just, like, a whirlwind of an experience, like, being able to put so much into one vision that you have and then see it come into life and people appreciate it, kinda, like, changed my life, my perspective on things. So I would
Yeah.
say "Missing," and for me as an artist, I always say that my job as an artist is to reflect as best as I can the human experience in my music. So
Mm.
we're not all happy or sad or hyped or depressed, and I think just being able to have a catalog that kind of encompasses all the ebbs and flows of being a human being is, like, the most powerful way I can kinda make a mark in my catalog and in the world for people.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to resonate with people, for sure. You grew up in Miami, and it has such a distinct musical identity. How did that kinda help shape your sound?
So I think for me, personally, when people hear my music, I don't think Miami's, like, the first thing that comes to mind.
Mhm.
I never was someone that wanted to like, obviously, I'm proud of where I come from, and that is, like, such a beautiful melting pot of cultures and a place to grow up in, it teaches you so much. But I never wanted my sound to scream Miami
Mhm.
because I feel so many artists I mean, and there's obviously exceptions, but so many artists who their sound screams Miami, they never able to get out of that bubble.
I see what you're saying.
And for me, I never wanted to just stay there. I always wanted to not necessarily leave Miami, but to go and see bigger things. And like when I did my first year of college in Spain and I was able to do shows in Spain, seeing people like sing my music or like meeting people that they're like, "Oh my god, I'm a fan of you now because I saw you perform live," and I'm like across the freaking planet, just like changed my worldview on things. And I was like, I don't want my music to scream Miami, and that's an intentional thing. And
Yeah.
I want to be able to play any show no matter where and have people be able to resonate with the music. So I think it shaped my experiences more so than it did my sound, which obviously my experiences goes into my music, but
No, that totally makes sense, and I'm a big concert head and a big advocate for seeing artists live from the beginning. Like, I feel like if I wasn't in PR, I'd be in A&R because I
right,
like discovering, like,
so
emerging
far.
artists. From your perspective, what do people get completely wrong about being an independent artist in today's industry?
I think the whole like going viral thing is so overrated. I
Mm,
feel the whole going viral like, oh, I need to go viral if I'm gonna have a career in music. Like, no, I think what's more important is building a community and building,
yeah.
a group of people that actually really care about the stuff that you're doing every single time you put a song out or every single time you do a merch drop or a live show, rather than, oh my God, I got a million views, but no one's gonna actually listen to my music and no one's gonna actually come to my show. Like, I think going viral is so overrated. And the whole, "Oh, if I don't have $1 million of marketing budget, like, I'm not gonna make a dent in the world." It's like, I don't think that's true. I think curating your music and the experiences that you give to fans for that top 1% of people that are gonna ride and die for you always, and then growing that, I think personally, that's what I'm trying to do with my stuff. I think that's more important.
I 100% agree with you. Fans are the engine for any artist, and that's, like, the best way to go about it.
No,
And
100%.
also I agree, like, the going viral thing is definitely overrated, like, maybe it'll happen, but as long as you're happy with what you're putting out, that's what matters.
For sure.
Speaking of your music, how has your sound evolved from your earliest releases to what you're kind of making today?
That's a good question. So, I think it's just a development of life. I think you always have to develop, and when I first started putting music out, it was just kind of trying shit and throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what stuck. And as the years have gone on, I've kind of like come into my own skin a little bit, and now I
Mhm.
feel what's comfortable for me, and I still try and push myself outside of that. But I think being able to have a diverse catalog and being able to do a little bit of everything has been such a blessing and, like, a great thing to carry out in vision. And because before I was just like, "Oh, I need to rap, I need to be a rapper." And then I started, "Oh,
Mhm.
I can do R&B. Oh, I can do a little bit of soft rock. Oh, I can mix all these elements together so I'm not stuck in a box." And I think
Yeah.
sometimes artists, like, put themselves in a box and then they can't get out of it, and then if they try something new, everyone's like, "No, but we love you for this." So I
Mhm.
think being able to get out of my own way and be diverse in my music and try and have a catalog of, like I said, like, the human experience and trying to showcase everything has been the best way to develop for me.
Yeah. You were saying earlier how, like, Mac Miller is a bit of an influence, but I know when we were talking earlier, you also mentioned Russ, and that's, like, somebody that I think is exactly the type of artist you're describing, like,
Yeah,
you can
Russ is fire.
lean into, like, any genre and make, like, an amazing song, so,
Exactly.
yeah, that's a really good goal.
And I
Uh,
think the sonic identity too is you can do any genre, but people are gonna know that this is you. I think
yeah,
that.
that's, like, your print mark on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you have a new song coming out on April 10th. What's the story behind that track? Give me a little deep dive.
I do. I'm super excited for this one. This is another one where spent so much time and got a bunch of collaborators on it to
Mhm.
really, it was just one of these things. It was a vision that I really just wanted to take to a higher level beyond myself, and I really feel like now this track is bigger than me, and so I'm so excited to put it out. This is another one that's a part of the human experience. where it's probably the slowest and saddest song I've ever written, and I think everybody's gonna hear it, and it's nothing like I've ever put out before. Because most of the stuff I've put out is, like, a little bit of hip hop, a little bit of R&B coded. This is like a
Yeah.
soft pop rock anthem, and it's called "Another Sad Song," and basically the main line of it is, I don't think I wanna write another sad song tonight," as
Mm,
like, the saddest song ever, but I feel like it's a beautiful tragedy within a song of, and this has been something where I was able to take my own experiences and also people's experiences around me that I think everybody has dealt with a little bit, where you've been hurt or you've been left, and the next time you're in something that's such a deep relationship, either with someone or something, you kinda keep one foot out the door because you
yeah.
don't wanna be fully hurt if that happens again. So I think it's a beautiful tragedy of the song, and I'm so excited for people to hear it.
I'm excited too. I relate to that feeling. Is there also, like, an accompanying music video?
Yes, it's coming. So the song drops Friday, April 10th. We haven't finalized the date of the music video, but it'll be the following week, so either like a Wednesday or next Friday. But I'm super
Awesome.
excited. We shot it. We spent 2 days shooting it, and the second day was a couple nights ago. And
Wow.
shout out to my guy Thomas, because he is super dedicated and super locked in on the vision, and I've never worked with someone on the creative, like, visual side that can really bring things to life and just be so, uh have so much belief, like, as much belief as I do in the vision. So having someone on that end that is can really lock in on that part of it has been such a blessing for me, and I'm so lucky to have him on my team.
No, yeah, building a good team is the only way to make it, so I'm glad that you
Yeah.
have that, truly.
What I used to do mostly was I would take, like, a couple screenshots of the music video and then,
Mm.
like, blend them in together. That was something that I used to do. Now I have someone, her IG is Design Tolly, if I'm not mistaken, Toly, and she's been designing my new cover art. So this next song, she designed that, and she's just, like, fully a graphic designer, and we're also working on some merch together, which I'm super excited about as well. It's gonna be fire, and I've talked to her about this, where having a visual brand identity is very important, and that's something that I'm trying to discover and figure out as I go.
Yeah, no, yeah, that is one of the most important things about being an artist. I We'll get to the sports side of it later, but I feel the same way for sports, is, like,
Sure.
building your brand is, like, one of the most important things, so hopefully you guys come up with something super
I
cool.
know, I'm excited. We have some things in the works.
Awesome. Speaking of things coming, where do you kinda see yourself in the next 2 to 3 years? What does that kinda success look like for you?
Yeah, so for me, it's always been about having, like, the top of the mountain. Like, if I were to have everything come true, what would that be? And then smaller things to build on top of that.
Mhm.
So, the biggest one, and obviously it's hard to set a deadline on that because it's something that's insane, but to be one of the biggest independent artists in the world is,
Yeah.
like, what I wanna do. That's, like, if I were to be remembered, it would be that, like, being one of the biggest independent artists in the world and being able to, like, show that you can do it this way. And then below that, it's make a living off music. So that's the one that's below that. So hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years, I could be fully suffice off my music and living off it, and, hopefully touring and things like that.
Yeah, those are all both, I mean, really good goals. I think you're familiar with Connor Price.
Yeah,
He's a really big
him and
independent artist.
Nikki.
Yeah, they're fire. His whole concept, like, I've been following him for a while since he used to do the collabs where he would, like, spin the globe and
Oh,
just
yeah.
find, like, random people. I feel if you, like, come up with something kinda cool like that, that could
Yeah,
be, like, a way to differentiate yourself a bit.
percent.
Awesome. So what is something that you're still figuring out about yourself, both as an artist and as a person?
As an artist, I think the business side of things, like, not letting like, keeping the creative where it is, but being able to bring the business together with it so that they are all-encompassing and support each other. I think that has been the, because I feel a lot of artists are either all business or all creative, and then they could be
Mhm.
all business and the music, like, doesn't hold up to a standard of someone that is all creative, but then no one's listening to it because they're not focused on the business side of it. So I think bringing those together and having them complement each other is the best way I could put it, is something that I've been working on, and I feel like it's gotten a lot better, but obviously, it's a journey and still figuring it out and developing my way of doing things.
Yeah. I'm assuming they teach you, like, some of the business side at
Yeah,
Berkeley. Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Okay, switching gears a little bit to our shared love of pro wrestling.
I don't know if you can see.
Both of wrestling and music, they thrive on storytelling and persona. Do you see any parallels between how artists and wrestlers build their identity and connect with an audience?
Yes, so much. I feel like so much of wrestling is storytelling, and I think that's, the most I ever connect with a match, and I remember the first match I ever saw, I remember it was on TV, and I don't it was Triple H versus somebody, and I
Mhm.
was probably, like, 8 or 9 years old, and my older brother put it on. He probably shouldn't have, and I remember Triple H pedigreeing some dude through a table, and me being like, "Oh my god." And then the triple and actually me and my older brother, we watched recently Triple H versus The Undertaker, with Shawn Michaels as the referee at and obviously we had seen this match before, we already know how it ends. We're watching it back and, like, the emotions that it's pulling you in, like, the ups and downs, and then at the end when they stand on the stage all together, you're like, "Oh my god," you wanna cry. I think so much of it is storytelling. Um so I think for me as an artist that I would put myself in a box, like if it were to be in a style, like an Undertaker or a Triple H, or like even like Gunther now, where it's just like
Mhm.
so focused on storytelling. And especially because in my music, and it's weird being at Berkeley because you have so many people that are so technical. I've
Yeah,
never been the greatest singer or the greatest braggadocious rapper or the most cracked out producer, but what I can do the best is make people feel things
yeah,
and relate to things and experiences. So kinda like those wrestlers that are, like, slower, they're not doing all the flips and going off the top rope and all these things, but they can make you feel something, and they could give a story and tell you a story that you won't forget, I feel like is the way I can relate to it, and I always do.
that makes total sense. If you kind of had a theme song that you're, like, walking out to, what's the energy, like, WWE style?
So I was thinking about it, and I love, and I don't know if the song and the style would, like, make sense together, but the style I love, like, Seth Rollins' entrance now.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
"Whoa!" Like, I think that shit is so cool, and he comes out, he's just, like, feeling the energy. I think for the song, though, I would say "High on Me" by Rossi, I don't know if you know him. He's
Oh,
a
no.
he's a house DJ, and I saw him live in Miami with my brother,
Okay.
and it was, like, such a great experience, and that song just feels so good, I feel like that would be it'd be like, "Okay, it's time to live it up right now."
You need to put me on after this.
Yeah, yeah, I'll send it to you.
Like, you want, like, all the fire and pyro and all that
Yeah,
too?
yeah, give me the Cody Rhodes pyro. Give me the whole
I love it. Another question for you, we're wrapping up here, but besides your single and the music video coming out, is there anything else you could tease? More music, any live performances, anything else?
just I would say just look out for singles. I feel like this year I'm just focused on building my catalog and
Yeah,
building a diverse catalog to where people can, like I said, feel different emotions and relate to different parts of their lives. And it's also a thing where I don't want not that I don't want, but I understand if somebody doesn't love my entire catalog, but if I could get 2 or 3 songs to that anybody can relate to, like, if you could relate to 2 or 3 songs that just, like, you see a part of your life in, I feel like that is the best I can do and that I did my job. So just
yeah.
a bunch of singles, a bunch of new music, and the visuals are gonna keep getting crazier. That's another part that I love about creating things, like being able to see the vision come to life in creative direction and visuals. It brings the sound to life, and I just love making shit.
Awesome. Well, we will definitely be tuning in for all of those. One question I didn't kind of I wanted to ask after the first question, but I didn't. Tell me like what does a typical like studio day or songwriting day look like for you? Like what's your process?
Yeah, so a lot of the times processes change, but I feel like the most stable and usual thing is like sitting down and making production first. Like
Mhm.
if I find a sample I like or a chord progression that I like, start with that and then build production around that. And then once I have kind of a basis of production, I can kind of feel where the songwriting should lead to. And then a lot of time and then, playing the production on loop for an hour or 2 and just writing and getting thoughts off and different melody lines. But a lot of times the songs just, like, write themselves, if that makes sense. That's the way I
It just
feel.
like
I
comes
feel
to
like
you.
once I have a full production, like, the song can kind of I can just see where it wants to go, and it's kinda like reverse engineering puzzle pieces to, like, what should be here. So, that's how it usually goes. I mean, a lot of times it changes, like, if something else happens or I'm working with someone or
Mhm.
if I just have a lyric and I'm like, "Alright, now we have to build around this." But that's usually I feel like reverse engineering a puzzle piece of a vision that you already have, like, set beforehand is the best way I can describe it.
That's so cool. And then for my very last question for you, anything else you want to add or anything that we haven't covered today that you want to mention or shout out?
I want people to know I'm a big wrestling fan. I feel like it's, like, so underrated, and when people find out, they're like, "What?" Like, I would not expect that.
No, same for me.
Like,
Same
it's
for me.
such, like, a niche little thing that I'm so into, but I love it so much, and like we talked about, the storytelling in it and the way it makes you feel goes hand in hand in music and creating and just life in general. I feel like if you're not a wrestling fan, watch that Triple H Undertaker match for
That's a
WrestleMania,
good one to start with.
and you probably will be, yeah.
We need to manifest either like you doing a Superstars theme music
Oh
or
my
like
god, it'd be so fire.
that or like getting a song in the video game would be
That'd be
super
crazy.
cool. Yeah.
Or, like,
Gold.
even, like, if I got big enough to do, like, kinda what Jelly Roll's doing now over there,
Oh my
'cause
god.
they love having the celebrity appearances.
Okay, I'm so like, I'm sick of Jelly Roll, but
He's, like, in every segment on SmackDown, it's so crazy, and,
I do like when it's like, I love the Bad Bunny run.
when it's done right, yeah, like, the Bad Bunny was good, obviously, the Travis Scott one sucked,
Yeah,
but when they do it right, like, it's a super dope thing, especially if, like, Bad Bunny, for example, I know he was, like, training for, like, 6 months for that and was really locked in, so that would be a super dope thing to do
that'd be so fire. Oh my
one day,
god. You're, like, reigniting my, like, 14-year-old dreams of being a wrestler, being
one
like,
day,
"No."
God willing, God willing, that'd be dope.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Nick. It was truly a pleasure to chat and get to know you more and more about your music,
Thank you
and
for having
super
me, I
excited for
really
the
appre
single on April 10th. We'll be sure to link everything in the episode so people can tune in, all your socials and everything. So, yeah, thank you again.
Thank you, I really appreciate coming on and talking to you.